test my test. Okay, so after completing the RMA by checking the board, sending it back, and then received it, I actually took the board out and inspected it, and it seemed that they'd done the repair good. But I committed one cardinal sin, which is I didn't actually test the board to make sure it works. So although the pins were repaired, that doesn't necessarily mean that the board still works. It could still be a fault. So this video is to actually test this board, because what I want to do is in a few days time, once we're a bit more settled, I wish to complete the build for my friend, and I'm going to show you the parts that I'm using. Now when I'm testing the board, I will not be using the i5 core processor that I'm going to be putting in it. I'll be just using an Intel Pentium Gold. It's the same socket, if it's the same socket, socket's 1151. I'm just going to use it for test. The actual RAM that I'll be using is the RAM that I'm actually going to give her, which is a ballistic gaming PC, 16GB, 2 sticks of 8. I'll also be putting a Samsung Evo 970 M.2 NVMe drive on the board, and the original SATA SSD that she had in there, I'll use that for her storage, for a storage device. So I'll put our operating system on the M.2, which will make it quick, easy, a breeze and quiet. I'll be using the stock fan for the i5 because it's quite capable of coping with that processor, because that processor don't really get hot. I know how the client uses the PC. It's not used for any content creation or anything like that. It's just basically used for browsing the web, if she wants to do a bit of Amazon shopping online, and also just to play DVDs, a film that she's got on DVDs. So that's what the system is going to be used for. It's going to be used for nothing too task demanding, or resource demanding, should I say. So what you'll be seeing is that I'm going through some steps. I will actually trim this video down to cut out the boring bits, so there's going to be parts where you don't actually hear anything or just hear me tinkering about. So with that ado, let's get this board tested so we make sure it works, because if it doesn't work then obviously I have to send it back again, probably get a refund and get a different type board, but I've got to be confident that it'll actually work. But also another thing I wish to let you know is that because I've not got much desk space, because I will be reorganising my office again after I do this build, I think, the monitor that I'm using to monitor her system, the system, will be down actually on the floor, so you won't be able to see it. I'll probably show you the camera just to show that the screen comes up and everything. But I've got a bit of everything going on at the moment. So I've got my kitchen being done, trying to get this RMA sorted, making sure this board works, and then eventually getting the system built for my client, and then I'm going to be renovating my office. Yeah, so I'm going to restructure it, because at the moment what I've got is like a desk, a little table that my streamer's on, and I've got some sort of cupboard where I keep my books in and that. I'm going to get rid of all that and just have one long flat worktop, and then maybe a couple of cupboards for storage space underneath. So let's get on with it, guys, and please give a like to the video and please subscribe. Right, what I've just done here now is remove that Pentium Gold out of the clamshell, and I'm going to insert that into the board. This is for testing only. I'll just be sticking it temporarily Intel cooler that I've got off our original board. I'll just be using that cooler just to test, just to keep the chip cool. It's not going to be on that long anyway, but I just don't want to damage anything else. And then we're going to see how it works. So this is what I'm doing at the present. I've just shown you before the actual storage drive that I'll be putting our operating system on, which is that Samsung Evo. I won't be putting it on at this stage, but I'm just showing you. And I also showed you the i5, which will be the original, which will be the final processor that I actually put on it. So that's what's actually going on it. But I'm just testing the board, making sure this board works. Once this board works and I'm happy, it boots up, I will just point the camera down at the screen on the floor just to show you that I have got a post, that it works, and then we'll call it quits there. The actual build, I will actually be streaming live, so it won't be recorded. It will be a live stream, so do watch out for the notification, and then you'll actually see me doing it live. So let's continue. Right, so you've just seen me insert the Pentium Gold chip. Now it's important, this black cover that you see me showing you here, that you do not throw that away. You must keep that, because if there's something wrong with this board after I do this test and it doesn't post, I have to send it back. I have to remove my chip and send it back, and it's important that I replace this black cap back over the socket, because if you send it back and they open it up and it's not on the socket, they will send it straight back to you, and your RMA will not be warranted. So don't throw these things like this away. Put it in your box, put your box up safe, put your box somewhere, because you never know when you're going to want it. Or if you ever want to change out your motherboard, you can then replace that, because you can either then keep that motherboard for another build or sell it on to someone else. So don't throw things like that away, guys. And it's also important that you don't throw any cables, manuals, or CDs that come with the board. Although we don't actually use them, it's always good to have these things, because you never know when a situation may arise where you might just have need. If say you've got no internet, or there's a problem arise, you might actually need to pull a driver off the CD, even though it be an out-of-date driver. But then that will probably enable you to get from Microsoft Windows to detect that you've got an old driver and update the driver for you, when it does the updates. So although we don't actually use the disc anymore, just keep all of it anyway. Like I say, if you're going to sell the board on, then you've got all the parts that came with it, so you're selling it on as when you got it. So don't throw these things away. Now here I'm inserting the ballistic RAM. Now this is the actual RAM that the client will be getting. As I say, it's 2 sticks of 8, it's 16 gigs ballistic, crucial ballistic gaming RAM. This board only has 2 RAM slots anyway. If it had 4 RAM slots, then obviously you refer to the manual. If you've never done this before, if you have 4 RAM slots, you would refer to your manual, which is like the first 2 channel that they recommend for you put your RAM in. Because if you've got 4 RAM slots and you've just put 2 in one after the other, bang bang, believe it or not, even though the RAMs are dual channel, you'll not be running in dual channel mode, you'll just be running in single channel mode, because you've inserted them incorrectly. But this only has 2 RAM slots, so this automatically goes into dual channel mode. Yeah. So that's what I'm doing now. I'm inserting the RAM slots. They only go one way as well. You'll notice that on the RAM, they've got a notch in the bottom, and on the motherboard, it's got like a bridge. And it's not bang in the centre, it's slightly off centre to one side, so you see that one side is larger than the other. It's important that you do actually line them up the right way and put them on, because some of those pins actually carry current. There's like 3 volt current points, and if you put the RAM in the wrong way, if say you force it in the wrong way and then you turn your board on, you can actually fry your board, fry your memory, fry your chip, fry everything. Yeah, so it's important. So that is why we always say make sure you line up your RAM correctly and insert it correctly. Now that's the BIOS. I'm just showing you my BIOS flash drive there. It's only like a 1 megabyte BIOS flash drive, because I actually went online when I purchased the board and went to the website and got the latest BIOS. But when I did actually go into the BIOS of this board, it's actually got the latest BIOS, so I didn't actually need it. But in saying that, I've got another board to do another build, exactly the same board, another build, So again, I will check the BIOS. I will keep hold of that flash drive there with the BIOS on it, to ensure that I've got the latest BIOS in case that other board hasn't got it. Once it's got it, I then delete it, because you'll never go backwards, and you can always go back to the website if you need to, but you should never ever go backward on the BIOS flash. BIOS updates are of the latest, supply you with the latest features to make your board compatible with more modern systems. That's why you have BIOS updates. You should never ever have to go backwards. It's a bit like saying leaving Windows 10 now and going back to Windows 3.1. You just won't do it. And that's what BIOS flashbacks are. BIOS flashbacks are updated. As things get updated, you update the BIOS to make your system compatible with modern equipment. Okay, so really now all I'm doing is just testing the board. Now I think I disappeared here because I was trying to find the power switch. So I'm actually going to edit the video at this stage. So now I've grabbed myself a power supply, and I'm just going to attach that to the board. So I'm just indicating, make sure that you put the switch to off, even though there's no power going to the power supply yet. Make sure it's in the off position, so that when you do attach your power cord from your outlet, you're not going to short out anything, or you're not going to get a spike or anything. You want to be in control all the time. Now this board actually takes a 8-pin ESP power plug on this board, but you can actually get away with a 4-pin. It'll take either 4 or 8, depending on the power supply that you've got. This test power supply only has a 4, but it does work. It will work. So as you can see before, I hooked up the monitor. You can see the monitor cable that's going down to the monitor on the floor. So I'm just now going to hook up the power supply. It was getting a bit dark, that's why you just seen the light come on. It was getting a bit dark in the evening, it started to get dark in the room, so I put the light on. That's why you're now getting a bit of reflection, so I do apologise. Yeah, as I say, just looking at power supply and realise it's only a 4-pin, even though the board does take an 8-pin. But it will work, it does work, as you'll see when I've connected it. I think I must have gone back to search for the switch again. Oh well. What am I doing here now? I'm not quite sure what I'm thinking here. Something's going on. I'm probably wondering why it's... Yes. Not that end, Michael, the other end. Thank you. There you go. Straight in. There you are. Heard it click. Various boards, even though they'll take both the 4 and the 8-pin, sometimes the actual pins go at the opposite end of the connector. It depends on the board manufacturer. So on this side, you see me, I put it on the one end first, which it didn't fit, which it wouldn't go on. I put it to the second end and you heard it click in. Okay, now I'm going to attach a cord now. I'm going to attach a cord now from the outlet. In a second. So I'm just demonstrating again that it's still in the off position. Yeah. Here we are. Power's connected. Right, I've got a monitor down here. You can't see, I'll just show. The monitor down here that I'm monitoring. Simply I've got no room on the desk. But you'll know if it works or not. You'll either say yeah or nay. That's not the issue here at the moment. Let's concentrate on getting this board powered up. So I'm just going to use a screwdriver to short the pins because I couldn't find my switch. Believe it or not, I found my switch afterwards. Now this voiceover you're hearing is because the reason why you now got a voiceover is because I actually, when I did this video, I did it, and then when I was playing it back prior to publishing, I realised that the audio was terrible, and I didn't want to redo the whole video. So I've edited it. I did the edit and added the voiceover. Edited. That's what I was trying to say. Edited. That's because my brain's working faster than my mouth. Now I jumped up here and realised, yes, I jumped up and then put a fan on. Realise, so I'm going to switch it off again. Yeah, the fans won't. Yeah, it will do. Now it wouldn't have hurt it if it wouldn't really hurt it because it wouldn't have been on that long. I just wanted to see a pulse on the screen, but I just don't want to take a chance. So this is the client's old fan of her whole system. Yeah. So I'm just using this temporarily because the i5 that I'm going to put on comes with its own fan included. It does come with a fan, and that is what will be going on. This I will keep. This fan here I will keep, and it'll be used for doing testing like this. When I'm doing testing like this, it's just something simple, especially on socket 1151s or whatever. So this will do just for testing. If you notice, I'm not putting any thermal paste on because it's not really worth it yet. It's not going to be on that long. I just want to see if it pulsed. Then I'll just check what the BIOS is on the board. If it's F16, which it is, I don't have to do anything because F16 is the last BIOS for this chip, for this board, sorry. F16 is the last BIOS. It's the latest BIOS. So I'll keep all of that BIOS flash because I've got another one of these boards to do another build, which will be for sale. With more or less the same specs. It'll be Crucial Ballistic Gaming RAM, 16 gigabytes, 2 sticks of 8. It will be an i5 again CPU with graphics. These CPU do have graphics. They do have onboard graphics. Yeah. And M.2 hard drive going on. Yeah, so I'm just connecting that now. One of the pins I noticed on these was slightly wonky, not working correctly. But I will, as I say, it's just for testing, so I did get it to fit eventually. I messed about with it for a couple of seconds. So you just have to bear with me. That's what I'm doing here now. I'm just sussing out this pin because the other three locks, but this one wouldn't lock. It was lined up, but it just wouldn't lock. So you'll see me take it. You'll see me retake it off again in a second. Have a look at the pin. The pin seemed fine, but I don't know if it's a spring. I don't know if it's a spring or something that wouldn't engage, or the pin wouldn't go through fully. But anyway, I say it's just for testing. So yeah, I'm just unlocking it again because I'm just going to take this off and have another look. As I say, this is not the cooler nor the chip that will be on this board when it's built. And don't forget, when I do the build will not be recorded, so it won't be anything like this with voiceovers. It'll be actually live. It will be a live build, so you have to be on the stream. Appreciate your comments, positive ones of course. Don't want any trouting, don't want anybody with any bad language in the stream or anything like that. And basically these streams are not for people that can already build PC and know everything about PCs or for other techs. These builds are to demonstrate for people who would like to build their own PC and are not sure how to go about it. So the steps you take basic steps. And remembering the thing is, handle your parts correctly, especially your motherboard. Handle it by the edge. Try not to touch the gold pins on your RAM when you're handling it. Don't bend the RAM to get them out the clamshell or your CPU. Bend the clamshell, not the RAM. Yeah. And then of course, ensuring that you seat your CPU correctly in the right orientation. Don't try to force it, especially when you're using Intel boards, because like you say, the pins are in the socket. That's why it's called a socket 1151, and the 1151 means there's 1151 pins in that socket. Yeah. All the pins have various functions. Some are for the graphics, some are actually what supplies power to the chip. As many variations. So sometimes in one bent pin, if it's the wrong bent pin, make your system not start. So that's the main thing. And then when you've got that done, then if you're going to have a third-party cooler, depending on the chip that you select, you're going to have a third-party cooler. Obviously ensure that your backplate's on first before you put it in the case, because your case may not give you access to the back. You see, depending on the case you've got, some cases don't give you access, especially older cases don't give you much access to the back of the board once it's in the case. So if you want to add a third-party cooler, you need to put a backplate on. You can have quite some difficulty doing it. So things like this, you can do out of the box. Yeah, it's just that one pin, just having slight problems with it. I shouldn't really have took so long messing about over this, but after all I've been through, I didn't want any more issues arising, so that's why I'm taking my time. And that's another important point as well, guys. When you build your system, take your time, do it right. Anything you're unsure about, refer to your manual. Yeah. Once you've done a few of these, you get used to it. You get used to the process. It becomes easier. But even those techs, from time to time, will come across a stubborn piece of hardware, a stubborn piece of peripheral, and that wants to give you problems. So find them when it's out of the box. And you should only do this kind of thing if you're actually comfortable. You shouldn't attempt this if you're not comfortable. If you're not comfortable, get a proper tech if you don't want to do it yourself to do things like this for you. Yeah, because if you do things incorrectly, then you could find yourself with a whole lot of pain and inconvenience, especially if you got replaced parts because it's your fault. Parts, as you know, are not expensive. At the moment I'm using a lot of processors with built-in graphics, simply because graphics cards, the price of them are so okay, so there we go. So as you can see now on the screen, we've got a boot. So we're in the BIOS there. You're not going to get any further. There's no operating system because there's no hard drive in. I just wanted to get into the BIOS. You can see it there on the screen. I'll check the BIOS version, but like I said, I already checked it and it was the current BIOS version, so I did not need to do the update. So it's something I'd like to show you. But eventually, all this having to put bunches and floor will be out, as I say. I'm going to remod my office.
Right, let me just attach keyboard and mouse, so we've got a boot. Unfortunately, the keyboard and mouse that I normally use is what I'm using on the screen now. I do have this screen.
Yeah, it's also a good idea to have a wireless keyboard and mouse when you do things like this. Preferably one that just uses one dongle, where the keyboard and mouse are tethered by one dongle. The keyboard and mouse that I use on my streamer, it is exactly that. Now that's the one I normally use for testing, but I had to refer to my other keyboard and mouse for testing, which is an older version, one where it actually took batteries. This keyboard and mouse I use on my streamer, it's actually rechargeable. It's just you recharge it by USB.
And just slow things.
Yeah, which makes things a lot easier, not having to deal with batteries. But the previous one that I had is batteries, but I keep it anyway for emergency, just in case anything should happen. So that's what I'm connecting up now to this system, to just so I can get in the BIOS and move the cursor around, because I've got nothing connected. Which was a classic mistake on my part, not to connect that. I do apologise, but even me, no matter how many years I've been doing this, I will still make the odd mistake. It's because I've got so many things going on at the time, going on at once. I'm trying to fit things in. I've got a client waiting on this system, so I'm trying to get it completed. The board was the first problem that I came across with it. Well, it's the only problem, really. But like I said, when I got it back and I demonstrated that the RMA had completed to fix the pins, I should have actually tested the board there and then. So that was a cardinal sin. But anyway, the board works, as we can see, because I'm in the BIOS, so I'm happy about that. So I'm working the build around everything else. I'm trying not to build it because there's dust flying around. I don't want dust getting into a system. I don't want any problems.
That is the latest BIOS, F16, so it's actually got the latest BIOS on it. So I'm okay there. Yeah, 501121, yeah. Okay, so the latest BIOS, so we don't need to flash it.
Okay.
So that's saving the job. So we've got a boot, the board works.
Okay, so I'm going to wrap it up there, guys. That's the end of the test. I've just checked, what I've just done there is just check that it's the latest BIOS, which it is. There's not much more to do. Like I said, I'll keep the BIOS on that flash drive, because I've got another board exactly the same to do, so to make sure that's the same BIOS. Once that's done, I will erase that flash drive, ready for any other boards that need BIOS updates. So that's it. So now the next stage, now that I'm happy that the board's been RMA'd, the board works, will be to actually do the build. So I've got a couple more things to do. I'm hopeful that I can do it this week. And as I say, that'll be a live stream. So please, guys, I do beg you to watch out for the notification. And if you can, join me in the live stream. I won't mind chatting to you. There's quite a few people out there that knows me. You know, I'm glad to see you in the stream. We'll have a chat while I do the build, and you can ask me questions and see how it goes. So thanks, guys. Bye for now. Take care and look after yourselves.